So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you are today, and greetings on the World Kindness Day. It's a pleasure, absolute pleasure to speak to all of you. But let me ask you all a question. Don't you find it strange that we need to have a World Kindness Day? And does that mean that we should be kind only on one day in a year? Doesn't sound right, does it? I think there is far too much anger, too much negativity, too much focus on each one of us to differentiate and how we are different from each other, so that we just don't seem to have time for a very natural feeling for what I think is the core of our humanity, which is kindness. Right? So I think what I would like to do today is to chat with you about what I think or what I hope is the way I live, so that for me, every day becomes a kindness day. Okay? So I will break this into three parts. The first is kindness to self. The second is kindness to every human being. And the third, of course, is kindness to earth. And not just earth, but beyond. So I want to actually, just focus on some of these things and see how we can, all of us, start living our lives maybe a little differently. So there is a lot more kindness, lot more joy, happiness, a sense of purpose in our world. Okay, so let me start with self. I think kindness to self has two aspects. The first is kindness to our body, and the second is kindness to our mind. Again, just think about it. All of us today, without an exception, are concerned about the pollution in the world, aren't we? We are all worried about where our earth is going, how we can control that pollution, how we can live in a healthier atmosphere. Isn't it? And yet, each one of us continues to indiscriminately pollute our bodies. We eat junk food, we drink copious amounts of sugary water, colored water, we, don't exercise, we don't do so many things that we know is good for our body, and yet we don't do it, isn't it? How many of us sleep properly? How many of us are not stressed? Food, sleep, stress, exercise, these are just some basic building blocks of how we can be kind to our bodies. I'm not suggesting even for a moment that you live the life of saints. I'm not suggesting that you don't enjoy life, that you don't eat the food you like, that you don't go out and have fun. I do draw a line at something, and recreational drugs happens to be a place where I draw a line, but I respect that each one of us makes a choice that they want. But, at least can we do all those things in moderation? I think that is the question that each one of us owes to ourselves. We have come into this world with just one body, one life. And how well we take care of it will decide what future we have for ourselves. And if we are not able to take care of ourselves, how are we going to take care of the rest of the world? Isn't it? So, when I was young, like you, I was also young, maybe a long time ago, but I was also young. And when I was young, I thought I was infallible. I thought I would live forever, a healthy, strong, happy life. I said, I'll worry about all these things, exercising and eating good food and all that stuff later. Let me enjoy now. But unfortunately, we have begun to see that stress, that diabetes, high blood pressure, so many of these problems are getting caused increasingly in younger and younger age. And therefore, we have to step back and see how we can balance all of these things so that we have a long, happy, healthy, useful life. Think of trees. If the roots of the tree, when the tree is young, are not strong, how would the tree ever become a big, huge tree that gives shade and fruit and nourishment to so many people? Nature teaches us many things. And one of the things we must learn is to respect our bodies. Okay? So do concentrate on the right food, proper exercise, sleep, and do things that you enjoy, not things that cause you stress. Which brings me to the next part, which is the mind. Again, how often are we kind to our mind? And if we are always angry with the rest of the world, if we are always angry with something around, if we are always unhappy with ourselves, just think of how unkind we are being to ourselves and to our mind. Many of our problems get created because we are living up to the expectations set by somebody else. Unfortunately, many often our parents, our friends, our relatives, people around us. And very often, especially at the young age that you are in, those expectations are often academic. Oh, you must go to the best college, you must do well in school, you must do this, you must do that. But is each one of us equally academically gifted? Not necessarily. But each one of us is gifted, enormously gifted, and uniquely gifted. So instead of living to the expectations of others, which may or may not suit you, shouldn't we live to our own expectations, our own understanding of what our strengths are, and of building on those? I'm not saying, therefore my expectation is to be lazy, to do nothing, and to have, that's not. And you know it and I know it, right? But setting expectations that are appropriate to oneself. Some people are great artists, some people are great musicians, some are sports people, some are good divers, some are wonderful, kind human beings. Isn't that a great quality to have? Must all of us just focus on one or two things, which is admission to a college? Your parents are going to probably be after me, but never mind. I think hopefully at least today they'll be kind to me, right? So understand your strengths. Learn to respect yourself, because each one of you has come into this world with amazing, amazing gifted capabilities. It is just discovering it that matters. My son had a friend. She was not academically gifted in school. This was in Hong Kong where we grew up. And at some stage after college, after school, she went to a college. And she was not clear about what she had done. And there she found her vocation in, speech affected, teaching speech affected students. Today, she is one of the topmost speech affected teaching consultants and advisors in the US. She found her vocation because she waited. I think all of us can find our vocation. All of us can find, may not always be at a young age, but at some stage, have the confidence in yourself that someday you will find something that excites you so much that you want to devote your whole life to it. And that is when you're going to be kind to yourself. So first and foremost, I think each one of us has to be kind to itself. Let's move to the second one, which is being kind to human beings. Isn't it obvious and natural that we should respect each other? But what do? We continuously differentiate. We differentiate on the grounds of race, religion, even wealth, gender, sexual preferences, caste, color, nationality, looks, and God knows how many more things. Just look at our own lives. Every time we look at another human being, do we see what's common between them and us, or do we see what's different between them and us? Why? Why do we have to focus on those differences? And differences from the point of view of disliking them, not from the view of liking them. I think if we can look at everyone's differences and bring them in and celebrate that difference, great. But more often than not, we use various criteria to differentiate and to create a we versus they, and therefore a lack of kindness. But remember, the more we dislike others, the more we diminish ourselves as human beings. It's our nature to be kind. It's our nature to be good. It's our nature to be happy. But if we start disliking others, or what does it create? Just think about the time you met somebody you dislike. Did it make you happy? Or did it make you unhappy? Did it make you feel, oh, I should be kind? Or did it make you unkind, if I may use that? Right? So I think the more we dislike others, the more we diminish ourselves as human beings. And I think we have to really stand back and ask ourselves the question, why do we differentiate? See, very often it happens because of our past experiences, our biases, the culture we were brought up in, our education, what community we live in, etc., etc., and those things reinforce. But today, more and more young people are moving out of their limited communities into the big wide world. More and more people are collaborating and working with each other. More and more of you are traveling all over. So therefore, I think there is an opportunity for each one of us to see that every society, every culture, all religions, all nations have a rich store of beliefs and traditions. Now we have two options. Option one is to say only my culture and my this thing is good and everything is bad, and constantly say, oh, look at that, oh, look how bad they are. The other is to have an open mind and a listening heart and a curious mind that continuously looks for new insights from others. That says, oh, look at that. This is what they do. Look at this custom. What a lovely custom. How can we incorporate it? And the more and more you do that, the more and more we are going to build a truly global culture, which is a beautiful amalgamation of all cultures, all religions, all nations, all beliefs and traditions, the good ones in all of them. And that culture will be based on mutual respect, mutual learning, and mutual acceptance. Isn't it? Isn't that a much, much better world in which you would want to live, rather than a world in which we are perennially at war, either by mouth or on digital or with guns against each other? Won't you like to live in a world where every human being celebrates each other's joy and happiness? So think about this. So that's the second one. The third one is kindness to the earth and beyond. Just recently, the COP26 the recent UN climate change conference just ended. And at last, we have seen some global recognition of the urgency for dealing with the problem of environment. And I think what I found particularly happy was that this entire thing for the last few years has been led by young people like yourselves. So thank you. As somebody whose generation created many of these problems, first of all, I apologize on behalf of my generation. And second, I thank you for taking this lead. This is phenomenal. The youth have been at the forefront of this, politically, socially, and in every way. So I think the question we have to ask ourselves, what else can we do together? And I think there is, of course, we all know that there is much more than we can do together, so that at the end of it, we are all kind to our Earth, we are all kind, not just Earth. Why should we colonize Mars and Moon? Hopefully for something good and not for, again, exploiting metals, minerals, polluting it, and so on. So I think there are three big opportunities that the world presents today. And almost every day, I keep telling my wife that I wish I was in my 20s. I wish I could be a part of this youthful revolution that is unfolding. And I wish, I could do my bit to change the world from where it is today. I don't know whether there will be a time machine before I move on from this world, but whether there is or not, I'm so happy and confident that today's youth have the ability to solve many of our problems. So the first big opportunity is the globalization of information and connectivity. Right? So today, nobody can say we are in a silo and we can do something here which the rest of the world may not know. No, it's not. There is nothing left in this world where the news does not reach, where people do not reach, where people cannot create. And we have seen that, how the young have built coalitions and very strong coalitions. So it gives us an opportunity for us to quickly sensitize all the people in the world and start building strong coalitions. The United Nations has, of course, set up the SDGs, the Social Development Goals, and I'm sure many of you have read them. Do not look at them as so many distinct and different goals, but look at the whole thing collectively together. It is to make the world a better place, a kinder, nicer, more decent, more equitable place, right? So there is happening, and the news of all of this needs to be spread globally so that everyone becomes aware of it and starts contributing. The second, and this is a big change that is only happening in the last few years, is that the world, and especially people like me of my era, have realized that there is enormous innovative power in the youth of today. In the good old days, you needed gray hair, and if you had gray hair, you were thought to be wise. It didn't matter what was said, it didn't matter who said it. That has changed now. Today, more and more young people, teenagers, even sub-teens, are coming out with new innovative answers to many of society's big problems. And that is great. Small wonder that the Touch a Life Foundation has announced Transformers 2021, which is the challenge for young people like yourselves to try and put your hand to it. And I hope many of you actually do it. And I urge all of you to look it up and to do your contribution. Okay. And the third option that has come is that there is a big increase in the variety of technology options. And I'm not talking of just digital technology. Look at what happened after COVID. Enormous coalition of countries, of governments, of NGOs, of companies to come out with vaccines very quickly. isn't it? I mean, if this had happened maybe 50 years ago or 100 years ago, many, many more millions would have died. Right? So what is now possible is that with technology, many, many more, whether it's in food, whether it's in medicines, whether it is in communications, in all aspects of life, there is an enormously greater power that technology equips us with. And therefore, as you young people use this technology for greater good of the society, I feel that we are likely to do much, much better. Does that mean we have solved all problems? No, there are many more. One problem which worries me, and I'll share that with you, and I hope that those amongst you who will be politicians or economists or business people will work on this. If you see what's happening today, while we thought of triple bottom line, society, people, and profits together, the only thing we measure is profits and costs. So financial costs and financial profits are the only thing that are measured, while societal costs and societal benefits are not measured. So if I pollute the air, that doesn't go into my costs. And if I produce a vaccine which saves millions of lives, even that doesn't go into my profit. That's wrong, isn't it? That's a horrible way of looking and evaluating things. So I think we have to move away, and the economy and business thinking has to change and must change dramatically to look at societal costs and societal benefits. And only then is the world really going to change, and there's going to be a strong impetus for newer and newer innovations that do good for the world. I'm not saying that you should not make money. Money is the lubricant, but it's only a lubricant. It's not the lubricant. Yeah? So today, in a business newspaper in India, Economic Times, Hubert Joly, who is now a professor at Harvard, has made a strong case that business needs to have a noble purpose and a human-centric approach. I hope that many, many companies and many governments and many organizations actually make that. It's not just businesses, but every organization, including governments, must have a noble purpose and must have a human-centric approach. So I'm an optimist. I have faith in all of you. I think you are going to create a new world order. That new world order in which every day is a kindness day. Every day is a day filled with purpose. Every day is a day in which you feel fulfilled. I have every confidence in you. I'm sure you have even greater confidence in yourselves. So I look forward to a world in which all of us can celebrate Kindness Day every day. God bless all of you.